Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
What's up? I think somebody's got the stream on in the background somehow. I'm getting like I'm getting a loop from somebody. Playback is happening somewhere. What's up? I think somebody's got the stream on in the background somehow. I'm getting like hang on a second here. What is going on? I'm getting a loop from somebody. Playback is happening. Where's somewhere. What's up? I've got two tabs open. Hang on. I think somebody's got the stream I've got a secret Chrome window open. Hang on. Okay. Oh, this is what happens when you have all the extra tabs open. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of On the Wire. But let me figure what's going on here. Let's bring the rest of the crew in. Sorry. What's up? We're going to go over all sorts of crypto news today. I am obviously having some technical difficulties here. I have too many browsers open. I have a hidden tab somewhere. Oh, there it is. The YouTube tab. I had the Twitter Spaces open. Okay, we should be all good to go now. I got Kyle here. We got Ken here. We got the Twitter Spaces open. What's up, friends? Hello, and sorry for a little rough opening, but we're going to have a lot of fun today. We got the Twitter Spaces open. If anybody wants to jump in and join this conversation, I think we're going to have a great conversation about what's going on kind of in the news and blockchain, kind of in crypto, in a lot of different places. So, yeah, Kyle, Ken, you want to share some thoughts? If you're watching in the YouTube chat, let us know where you're watching from. If you're in the Twitter space, make sure you leave us a little heart and feel free to request to speak. If you want to jump in here, I'm sure this crowd will grow as we go. So let's get into it. Kyle, Ken, what's up?
Hey, everybody. Big week. We're getting closer on Wire name service, and Twitter is a Dogecoin logo now. So I'm having fun this week.
Yeah, there's a bunch of crazy articles we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to look at that Doge Twitter connection, Apple and Bitcoin. We're going to look at this, what do they call it? The Restrict Act, which is like the Patriot Act for the internet. Ken, what are you thinking? What are your opening thoughts here?
I'll concur. There's a lot of cool things going on. Market's looking nice and firm. Wire Network is on the verge of rolling out some of its biggest products, and there seems to be a waft of bullishness in the air. Kyle, I'll call your Doge on Twitter, and I'll raise you. Last night I saw an article that the Bitcoin white paper is embedded in an Apple developer, like in Apple code. I'll see if I can pull that up.
I got it right here. Where to find the Bitcoin white paper on your Apple computer. Yeah, I think that's interesting, and it's been in there for a while. The Bitcoin white paper has been discovered hidden deep inside of Apple system files for machines running Mac OS Catalina or later. Labeled as simple doc.pdf, the file appears to showcase Satoshi Nakamoto's vision for decentralized cash based on the public ledger, all in its 9-page glory. The subtle nod to the world's oldest blockchain on the day Nakamoto's 48th birthday was reported by independent blogger. Bio has no explanation. I'm skipping forward here why the document appears buried in an obscure folder in Mac OS, but says that all modern versions of the OS appear to contain it. Apple did not immediately respond to Blockworks' request for comment, so nobody really knows why it's in there, but it is, and that's an interesting thing to see.
Maybe Satoshi works at Apple.
Maybe Satoshi is Apple.
People were speculating that Steve Jobs was Satoshi.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this leaves a lot of people just kind of questioning or thinking like, what could it possibly be? Is this like a hint that Apple's maybe working on something in the blockchain space, specifically on Bitcoin. I don't know, right? Like that leaves lots of people to,
or just a renegade developer
right? Just tuck
that
it in
just
there.
wanted to embed something. Yeah.
That's probably more likely.
Right.
Well, I learned that from the Wire network dev team. Like, more than likely, it's just some developer that wants to stick something in there to be funny.
What do you mean? You learned it from the what? This is dev culture,
From
right?
the dev team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like Easter eggs for sure.
Hidden memes in the code.
You can't just code all day. You have to have a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah, and let's just give a little shout out here to, we got Daisy, we got the Crypto Empress posting on the Twitter Spaces. Go ahead and share this. If you're on Twitter, give the original quote a retweet. Daisy, maybe we can get these articles that are shared in the YouTube space, or they were in that second post of the post leading into this Twitter space. Maybe we can get those articles shared up on the billboard so everyone on Twitter can kind of keep up with the different news articles we're bringing up. That Blockworks article is, let's see, Blockworks stock. They're all in the yeah, there you go. You know what you're doing. Thanks. She's got it going on. You want to say hi to the folks? You want to say hi? Yeah, like jump in here and say what's up.
Absolutely. Good morning, GM. It is 9:08, and this is early for me, so I'm enjoying my cup of coffee, have my notebook ready to go. Let's talk about education. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah, and let's get everybody who can into this. Let's turn this thing into a conversation today, right? Like usually these streams are just us kind of up here chatting, but let's get everybody over on Twitter. Like literally, just request to speak. Like let's turn this thing into a round table properly, and see what kind of conversation we can get going here. So if you're over there and you want to jump in, yeah, like, well, who just jumped in? Who is that? The Mando.
The Mad Mando.
Yeah,
Luke,
what's up? So anybody got anybody got speculations on what Apple's doing, or you think this is just like Ken said, maybe just a developer doing something sneaky that just now got noticed because somebody found it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, they've always kind of done, marketing things and interesting things to make it, Apple products feel cool, and it might be a planned thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was an Easter egg that a developer just thought would be cool to put in. Because it's a hotkey too, right?
So somebody's about to get fired for this, is what you're saying?
Maybe.
I wonder why they wrote it like this too. You're hosting the Bitcoin white paper rather than like, you're storing, or, it's not like you're hosting it in a, like, am I wrong there, Kyle? Are you?
There's no way to tell with an Apple computer what your computer is actually doing. No easy way, at least.
What do you mean by that?
But that'd be an interesting, it would be hard to test if your computer is hosting like, an IPFS link to the Bitcoin white paper or some kind of, it could be if it's on there.
Interesting. All right. So moving on, Twitter makes an unexplained logo change. So if you're following Twitter at all, you see, this last week there was like a spike in the Doge price. Let's go. We got the chart up here. But it seems to be kind of settling back down. What do you guys think about this? I know Elon's been kind of in the Doge troll world for a while. He is a fan of cryptocurrencies. He's been in trouble for pumping and talking about some of these things on Twitter. There was a spike, I think it went from, what was it, like 7 cents or something like that to 10 cents, almost straight vertical. Do we think this is something long-term? Is this more trolling? Is this Elon just having fun? Obviously, where was I the other day the Twitter logo's still back. So we have the Twitter logo up here. So the Doge is gone, but
they're probably just pending an app update. The Doge is on the web version though, right?
I'm not sure. I did see it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. I just looked.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's probably just like they haven't been able to update the app yet.
I always find it interesting with Elon from a completely different perspective when it comes to Doge, even Bitcoin, which is, I'm a technical trader, and so I remember. Well, let's put it this way: for this current Doge thing that he's done, the the chart, the Doge chart was already set up. It had great structure for a breakout, and it just so happens that that pattern gets close to completion or just coiled up, ready to go. And then a big announcement comes out, from him and pumps the price. It was already ready to go at any point and just needed a little push. And so it's just funny, like it's convenient, the timing. And I remember back in the bull market in 21 that like I vaguely remember that the price was that the chart was coiled up, ready to go again. And I remember on the downside when he came out and said Tesla, and that had Bitcoin on its balance sheet, but was about to sell it off or was selling it. The price action was coiled up, ready to have a downside fall anyway. So his timing has been impeccable from a trader's perspective. For when he actually, does something or releases news. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Do we need to make a disclaimer that none of this is financial advice? Consult your financial planner before making any decisions. What do you guys?
Yeah, I think it's observations.
You think what?
Yeah.
I think it's just observations, but it seems strategic, to Ken's point. And it's kind of interesting because if you could, from an Elon perspective, if you wanted to have a cryptocurrency, you could probably skirt a lot of the issues if you're able to kind of take one over that you didn't create versus making a new one.
Yeah, and I think
Kyle and I had
Go ahead.
We had an interesting conversation on that last night. I mean, that's the whole part of Satoshi. That's why you can't, even if they are, in my opinion, it's a group. I believe I've actually met some of them. I met Adam back at Satoshi Roundtable. Like Adam is, mentioned in the white paper. Like he's one of those original guys with Hal Finney and everybody else. I think it was a group. I think that they are very smart individuals, and they knew that they couldn't have a figurehead, and I think that that's just how it works. So, but the reason that Bitcoin works so well is they created that narrative around it, like, oh, it's this guy named Satoshi, and no one knows who he is, and now he's gone, and like that's what it took for the general population to have like some interest, some intrigue to keep this fire burning. And now you have like a Doge scenario where it was the founders are pretty much gone. It's just this chain that's been running, and now Elon doesn't even have to be the head of it. Like there is no head. He can just kind of push it along as it needs be. It's like a Satoshi light.
Yeah. Have you guys seen this? This is not crypto related, or at least not on the surface level. But there were reports weeks ago, actually, two app researchers, Jane Wong, I don't know if you guys know, and Nima Aoji, I think, who posted screenshots from the upcoming money features on their Twitter accounts. And this is, if we can zoom in here, showing a coins style in the Twitter navigation. And these are not a crypto coin. The way that it was displayed here is that you would buy this with fiat, kind of like an in-game currency type thing, where you would get, let's say, 150 of these for, $100 or whatever it is. I don't know what the math was. Let's go into this article here. Twitter coin is still under development, and we don't even have the evidence that's something related to crypto. So I think, there were all sorts of screenshots. Let's see. Just with rewards, talking about tipping, doing different things. Like I know the crypto stuff is exciting and interesting, but I'm also not sure that like people aren't going to experiment with this type of thing where it's just like, some kind of incentivization, some little internal token. I mean, think about like an arcade. They give you the little token. You can spend it in the stupid store and buy all the things that you can only buy from this marketplace. So I don't know. Like like, is that a harbinger of potentially sliding a crypto into Twitter? Is this something totally different? Him just thinking about how to monetize it, and maybe they're gonna like just make some margin on all these coins that people are gonna buy, or they're gonna arbitrage the tipping game or something. But I don't know. It's interesting to see them experiment with some of this stuff.
It really looks like a great way to pilot how a token would work without doing a crypto thing. They're probably looking at like how Reddit Gold has been successful, even though it's not a currency of any kind. Like you can't cash it out, but you can cash in with influence or visibility. It might be just like a great way to see how that would work and integrate something into their system that could be easily changed to Dogecoin if they wanted to or something.
Exactly. It's 100% a pilot, and it's 100% going to be converted to blockchain if it's not already on the back end right now that we just can't see it. You have to look at when Twitter got bought by Elon, look at who helped him raise those funds. Like Sam Bankman-Fried tried to come in and invest, and Elon told him no, but who did he accept money from? He accepted money from CZ at Binance. So you don't make those kind of deals on the back end if there's not some sort of touch point to the company. Like hypothetically, if Wire was huge and I was able to make that investment into Twitter, for sure I would be talking to Elon about how to utilize our blockchain and what it could do and what are like the future ramifications. So a tipping coin for now is going to be a full-fledged blockchain product later.
We're running in all these paywalls, all these pay gates. I'm trying to pull up these articles about the folks who helped Elon buy Twitter just to see who else is on that list.
They don't even make it easy to pay either. Like if you're going to try to do it, it's like it's a drawn out.
And so what happens every time? You just leave. Like the information's out there, and if I wasn't on a live stream and I had a little time, I would just go into inspect and I'd kill your paywall blocker. They usually do something where they like change the body to to overflow hidden, so you can't scroll on the page. You just go in, remove some CSS properties, and bingo bango, you got the news. But I don't understand. It's like this is not the way.
I'm seeing. Just on a side note, I'm seeing a lot of cool people in the space.
Yeah, if you've got thoughts and you want to,
and Bronny, we have Luke.
Yeah,
we have Waver.
Jump in and what are you thinking here? Feel free to share your thoughts. Is Twitter going all in on Doge here? Is anybody holding big Doge bags? Like, what's the again, not financial advice, but like, what are y'all trying to do with this?
I mean, I personally think that somehow Twitter's going to integrate cryptocurrencies as it, you could tip people. I see this kind of working because I don't know, I know that he mentioned something about that earlier, last year. So I don't know if that's still going to happen. So it's kind of nice to see that, he's changing the logo. I mean, for me, those are all signs that are hidden on code for me. But I don't know. I think Twitter could become the next platform. I mean, you're already seeing a lot of people just kind of, engaging with people and just where the spaces are. I mean, everybody comes to the spaces now. I feel like the spaces are bigger now. So I don't know. I think the possibilities are up there. I do have Doge. I've been holding for a while now. So it was kind of nice to see a spike going. I know Mando loves all types of dogs coins, but I'll let the guy talk about that.
Yeah, and it's interesting while you, Luke, feel free to jump in here if you want, but also interesting to think about what other ways they'll try to monetize this, because I could also see not only is it a way to get tokens in and get creators excited and to maybe bring some crypto into the space, but also how do you get people incentivized to play? And I've heard things like monetizing the ads that are in the replies and thinking about different ways to kind of share revenue more like YouTube does with their creators. So I don't know, that'd be interesting. Luke, did you want to jump in there on the Doge stuff? Does anybody else in the space have some thoughts on that they'd like to share? Feel free to jump in here.
Not necessarily Doge. I'm not really. I've never owned Doge. I just noticed the other day when I clicked on Twitter, when the Twitter profile on the Twitter, the main image, it was just a picture of the Doge dog, and I thought that was hilarious. But I definitely think, moving forward, like just for example, we had a great conversation with Carl and with Wire team yesterday. Moving forward with our, with what we're building and everything, the social media aspect and bringing people in through that is going to be the future. That is the future, and so that's something that we're very focused on. I don't necessarily see Create as just another marketplace. We are definitely focused on the social media side. And I think that's a way for a lot of people that are building right now to be actually ahead of most companies in Web 2 as well, So that's where our minds are at.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw something interesting when I went to Token 2049 in Singapore, late last year, and I was looking at like the applications that everyone uses over there, and it's literally everything. Like here, if you want social media, you have to go to social media. If you want a car, you have to go to the Uber app. If you want delivery, you have to go to Postmates or Uber Eats or something like that. The applications that they had over there that everyone uses literally has everything all in one. It has social media, food, car rides, like literally anything you can think of is just all in one app in a nice UI, and you don't need anything else. And so I think that there's room for the things that we're doing to have a little bit of flavor of other things. And for the crypto space, for NFTs, for anything like that, I think that there's room to have some really robust social media features embedded in there.
So hold up though. Are you making an argument for a single centralized platform that handles all of your stuff? Like, are you saying that was a good thing that Singapore had?
No, I'm saying that normally people will have the argument that you don't want to saturate or muddy up the application. You want to keep everything like streamlined, and so you don't want to put social media in an NFT marketplace, or you don't want to mix. And I'm saying that I participated in an app where they threw everything, things that you wouldn't even think should be in there together, but that was the app that everyone uses.
But that's because the government
So
says this is what you have to use. That's a whole, we could have a whole interesting conversation just on that. But like, it's not because, right, like if the market were competitive, there would be lots of different apps like we'd have here, and then people would have to pick which are the best ones. That's not to say that, like, if you ask all of the Silicon Valley, like Zuckerberg would love to have, like something like what you're talking about, like they have in China, and all of them would. Even Elon talks about like the X app or whatever, the Everything app, and how he would like to have something like that, and Twitter might be, a step towards getting there. But I'm not sure that's a good thing either. Like
it can be.
I'm not coming from a government. Sorry,
you're just talking about like a user simplicity type of thing, huh?
Yeah, I'm saying that the argument usually is to keep everything separate and just focus on one aspect of your app. And I'm saying that I think that there is room to add some really robust social media features into a lot of apps, including NFT marketplaces, things of that nature, and have a like a more robust user experience.
Yeah, like apps
Go ahead, Kyle.
Are not going to be siloed in the future. I mean, they could be, but it would be like if it's a dApp, it's going to be open source. Somebody could make a different version with a different feature, and it's going to connect to the same data. Like there are lots of really cool apps out there right now. A lot of them just don't get adoption in Web 2. If there was, interoperability in those types of data, they wouldn't have a problem. Like if I want to watch, the stream on Twitch, I should be able to just do that. If it was Web3, the stream would just be like a read from a contract, and my comments would show up on YouTube from Twitch, and same for like Rumble or for anything else.
Yeah, but yeah, and we don't need to get into like because like that we could get totally lost on the semantics there of like whether that's good or bad, or the the implications of what that means. I also think people specialize in their apps and they don't add a lot of features because it's hard to build apps, and like focusing on lots of things at once makes things more difficult than focusing on one thing at once. And so most app developers don't have the resource to think about like, how do we build 20 different features at once versus like, how do we build one really good thing and hope that people use it? And then as that grows, you slowly start adding other functionality that the community asks for, that people ask for, that, becomes, a value add into that system. And then that's how some of these things scale. Because unless you're Twitter or Facebook or one of these mega corps, like you just don't have the resources to be building, Twitter and Stripe and, Square Cash and, Facebook on top of it and YouTube on top of it. And so it's like, that's why I think a lot of these things get siloed.
Well, in South Korea, it actually works for them. Kakao Talk is like everything in one app, and everybody in the country uses it. They have full domination across social, banking, chat.
Sure, but again, that stuff exists because it's mandated by the government. The government is in bed with that app creator. Like that's not a thing that the market said like, oh, this is the best way to do it. Let's do it this way, right? This is the
They're
government.
not restricted from using other apps in South Korea. It's not mandated by the government. It's just like the population. It's popular there and as adoption, and it's just like the culture is to use that platform. Like you might want to schedule a job interview with an employer, and they'll be like, okay, what's your handle on WeTalk or whatever it is, and that's just how you have to have it.
Well, and we're in Web3 and with Wire, we're going that route, but with the single sign-on, like the registration process, and that's what Kyle's talking about, where we're able to just take that unified profile that's yours, and if you're just plugging into a bunch of apps and it's the same profile across the board, you're just jumping in, you're warping in, you're in there, and you're able to participate, and then you can come out and go into the next app and participate. That's essentially the better way. Instead of having like all this functionality all inside of one, you have this ecosystem where you're just popping in and doing your specific things, and you don't have to be creating a whole new profile. Like I'm Ken DeCross for the 800th time, and I want my profile picture to be this instead. Like no, it's just going to be the same, and you're still going to be able to get like that quick functionality, doing it the way that we're doing it. So that's our solution.
Does anybody in the audience here? We've got on chain. I don't know who this 32123. I don't know who any of these other ones are. But if do you guys have any thoughts about this? About whether it's the Twitter Doge connection, whether it's the this type of like mega app type thing, how this plays out? Because I want to talk also, and this is probably like a good little transition. Actually, let me go back to that. I can go, which way is it? This way.
Kyle, we do have 2 hands raised.
Yeah, send it. So let's go to create, and then we'll go to the 3, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? This is Ryan, our top dog.
What's up?
What's up, man?
I personally think for Twitter, they're going to be like integrating some sort of wallet. Me personally, I think like if they're gonna integrate like blockchain, like how Wire integrates blockchain, it's gonna take a while. And as it's not gonna be as seamless. And that's why like I'm so excited about Wire and so excited about Create, because like you were just saying, you have that single sign on. It'd be like if Wire was integrated into Twitter, you would have one single sign on, like your Twitter username. But I think like going that route, like unless they've been like building a different app in the background, or something like that. I think it would be really hard to do. But I do think that like maybe they'll use Twitter as like some sort of like maybe like a DeFi bank or something like that, like on and off ramps. But I know I did see when Twitter switched to Doge, I did see that like CZ was hinting at some stuff too. So I mean, like Ken said, he invested into Twitter. But yeah, I definitely see like a wallet and like like BNB, ETH, maybe Bitcoin, Doge. Yeah, definitely see that being on there.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Going once, going twice.
It's like the hardest name to say.
And then
it's an unstoppable domain name.
Unstoppable domain. And then David, I think on chain, you got some thoughts here. You want to jump in? There it goes. It looks like maybe his.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I think.
Sorry, that was me. I was trying to add someone and I accidentally put mute everyone. Sorry.
Rejected.
Shut it down.
Yeah, go ahead on chain. You're up. All right.
You're muted.
Try.
We have some others.
Sue, we'll go to you. Sue, what do you got to say?
Hi. So I'm not very tech savvy, but my fear of everything being combined, like, being able to everything from buy a car to, like eBay style auctions, like everything on one app would be the opportunity for scammers to scam me. The way dust tokens in a wallet can deplete your wallet. Scammers are very creative, and I would be afraid they would find a way to sneak in and be able to take my assets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sue
mean,
knows
it's
herself.
a big concern. The cool thing, and it's a bit technical, but at a high level, like it's okay to combine things when all of the important mechanisms are decentralized and like part of a public blockchain. Think about it that way. So it's like if you're reading the car data and sending the payment to the Auto Trader Web3 app that exists in the future, that's okay. It's just an aggregator as far as like what the app is doing from the front end. So, I mean, we're going to live in a world probably very soon where like the reason why these apps have the UI they have is to appeal to a broad audience. There's going to be, AI generated UIs based on the apps that you currently use that are created on the fly in, social media apps like Twitter or YouTube, anything. So, I mean, the way we even know UX and software is going to completely change in the next few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest things about being in a blockchain tech company, especially ours. You get to see the rate of innovation that's happening in this space, and it is just breakneck speed. I can go back to what we're doing, but I know that everybody else is, in our rear view, but we'll just call it in the ballpark, and you can just see the pace and what this next generation of the internet is going to look like. It's just going to be ridiculous, fantastic. I guess what we're trying to do is just build that world that we want to live in, and we think that everybody else wants to live in. And I can see like the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's bright. And I think that everyone's going to be really happy with where collectively, not just Wire Network, but other big development companies. I think that everyone's going to be very happy with the product that's on the other side of that bridge. It's going to be 100%. An opportunity for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sue, that's a concern that I don't think is ever going to go away. You know, this concern of centralized, control, people getting in, whether it's individuals or governments doing the scams. Like the bigger the system, the bigger opportunity for some of that. Which is why the tech that we're talking about is important to be able to kind of protect against some of that and to be able to, Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll go in a little bit other direction. I see that there's another hand up, so we'll get there. But if you take yourself out of crypto right now, like it has to be developed at this speed. If you look at what's happening in our economy and our world, the system is done. You have banks failing. You have potential war. You have all of these. You have the BRICS starting a new currency. You have countries that used to be in our, let's call it alliance, now signing up to be in that BRICS currency and to do trade deals that aren't involved with the U.S., to do peace negotiations where the U.S. is not involved at all. There's the things outside of crypto are also happening at breakneck speed. I mean, the things that just happened in this last week, the current headlines and the economy is just insane that's happened in 7 days. Like that, normally those things would happen in a few years, and they're all happening. So we have to build this. We have to get this infrastructure in, because there's going to be a battle here. Like, are we going to go the fully decentralized route? Or are we going to go the fully centralized route of a central bank digital currency with all of the rules and stipulations that are involved with that? That's what we're kind of battling against right now. We have to get these products out and live and get people using it, because that's how you vote, right? You vote with your purse, you vote with what product you use. And if you choose to stay in that system, then you're voting to be involved in that central bank backed digital currency. You're involved in being that data collection applications, like the Facebooks and everything of the world. If you come over to our side, you're choosing to live in that that decentralized world and to vote against what's all happening right now. So that's really how I'm looking at it. Like, let's build these products and give people a choice. Do you want to be with the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and in those kind of apps, or do you want to own your own data, have your own identity that you're able to take wherever you want, vote with the centralized currency? That's a really exciting thing from my perspective, just seeing how the regular world and the crypto world are converging.
Yeah, we're going to see, a lot of this. The Federal Reserve is bringing their FedNow service in July. So we're literally just a couple months away from essentially a real-time settlement payment being instituted by the Federal Reserve. And, they've talked about this not necessarily being on a blockchain or being a crypto, but who knows what's actually happening with all this. They're talking about it's going to start with just bank-to-bank transactions, but, we know like the government's never been given a power. They like to, give back. So, they only just add more and more to that. And we'll actually talk a little bit about that, this Restrict Act. But let's go to 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. You've been waiting patiently. What do you got to say?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Wire Crypto. So, my thoughts on Twitter and Doge. I don't know if you guys heard about the code inside Tesla. Probably we're gonna be able to buy or use Dogecoin connected with the company. So my thoughts on Twitter will be the same. That probably will be access to crypto. Pay with crypto or get paid with crypto in Twitter, because I think he's building something for creators, and he's very bullish on that.
That's interesting, and I hadn't heard, or if I had, I'd forgotten about Tesla with Doge, and I'm here on their FAQ. What can I buy from Tesla with Dogecoin? Look for the Dogecoin symbol next to the order button for Dogecoin eligible products. How do I buy something from Tesla with Dogecoin? How do I know how much Dogecoin to enter? Are there any fees associated? So yeah, it looks like they've got a whole FAQ set up here to answer people's questions about transactions with Dogecoin. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of things that pass in the background that many of us don't see because, I mean, we're here, digging, into projects, building with the community. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that is happening in the background, like in 2000, like IBM working on the blockchain since, if I'm not wrong, it's 2007 or 2005, and it's crazy, and many other companies working big on the blockchain. But I think it looks like we're late, but we're still early.
Yeah.
We're very early.
No, Elon's gonna.
IBM's working on just about everything.
Elon's gonna.
But their Hyperledger, it doesn't predate Bitcoin.
Yeah, and as you say, I don't know much about history. This is just a comment I heard when I traveled to Europe. I don't want to touch the cultural stuff, but back in the days, war was different, right? And now war, it's about getting the culture, like it's like a culture invasion into a new country. That's the best way I can say it, just to don't raise any alarms. And I think what the theory that you have with Elon taking over the coin, yeah, I also think the same way. It's pretty smart play for him.
Yeah, Elon, he stays inside the Overton window, which is he pushes the boundaries, but never enough. They've tried to investigate him. They've done a few things to try and push back against him, but he never takes it too far out where he steps in it. But he definitely tries to expand that boundary, and I think that he's just doing these things with that agenda, but not going too far out. Like he can just push his little pushes have big outcomes, so he doesn't have to go too far out. And I think that just these little incremental steps are gonna they're gonna yield fruit for us. He's gonna be able to get things through, like whether that's a wallet or a payment system, or with Tesla, you can start them as like these little ancillary products, like, oh, this is just this cute thing we're doing for a community, and then you get that wedge in, and then you can just keep opening up the door further and further.
Yeah, and that would be, we talk about interoperability all the time. We talk about the ability to transact value from one place to another. Could you earn value in Tesla and spend it on Twitter, or could you earn value on Twitter and spend it on Tesla? So who knows what he's got in his mind. And then if he's thinking about, think about his early days, Elon, I'm going back to here in, in tech and eBay and PayPal and some of these payment mechanisms and escrow account, and, mechanisms for payment across the web and stuff. So I got to imagine he has probably had some deep thoughts about, how you can integrate payments and rewards and incentives inside of social and real products. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if some of those dots connect at a higher scale over the next few years. Do we shift gears here into this? I mean, this seems like a good time to maybe look at this Restrict Act, just in the context of what might be, because this thing starts out as like a ban TikTok bill, but then nowhere in here like we're going to ban TikTok. Basically, the whole thing comes out, it's like, if there's anything happening on the internet that we don't like, we're going to like throw you in jail and charge you lots of money or fine you. And, so it's just the unlawful acts. Like, I just want to read this real quick, because this type of language is the reason why nobody trusts a fucking thing, right? That the government does, or the 10,000 pages of regulations that are rolling out every year. Unlawful acts. This is section 11 penalties, A.1. I don't even know how to read this shit. Anyway, in general, it shall be unlawful for a person to violate, attempt to violate, conspire to violate, or cause a violation of any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorization or directive issued under this act. Like this, they just write this, and this is this stupid lawyer speak where it's like, we are saying everything without saying anything. It's like, everyone who's basically, the law used to work like this. Everything was legal except for what was specifically said to be illegal. And that was a very limited thing, right? The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, these things are supposed to be constraints on the government and slowly expand. And now we're entering a phase where everything's illegal except for the few things we maybe say are legal. And those are defined as Section A, B, C, and D. Anything outside of these parameters is 100% illegal, and we're going to come after you hard. There was another one. Where was it?
Well, why don't we give a high level of what this actually is?
Yeah. Let's do that.
So this is a new set of regulations and laws that are going to be, the authority is this power goes to the Secretary of Commerce. And essentially it's trying to restrict people from utilizing foreign applications or applications that have connections to foreign entities, which you can pretty much, argue align to anything at any point in time. And the scope that Raymmar was touching on there is really like, let's say that TikTok becomes deemed a threat to national security because they say it's collecting a bunch of information on citizens or spreading propaganda or whatever. You could use a VPN and then access it, and then basically be a person that could be prosecuted under this new law. And the penalties are pretty harsh. And it's likely one of those things that if it did get enacted, it wouldn't be enforced, the way like a red light camera enforces somebody rolling the white line. It's going to be like a tool to, strategically punish groups of people,
right?
Which is not good for anybody.
That's what happened. Raymmar, you are right. It used to be,
it's $1 million, up to $1 million fine, and not more than 20 years of prison.
Right. Go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, I think that might have a little bit of a delay, so that's why I'm jumping in front of people. You were right. It used to be here's what you can do, and then here's the few things that you aren't allowed to do. And then we started doing thousands of pages of regulation or laws that get passed with just everything embedded in. And we're at the stage now, like you can see where you're getting cherry picked about who the law gets applied to and who doesn't. And when you have that much regulation, that much law that you can just sift through, you start getting to where you have the Stalin's secret police, like back in the 1940s, where like the head of the police said, "Show me the man and I'll show you the crime."
That's literally just Googling that right now.
You can find like everybody in this space, like everybody in the US, everyone, we're all technically criminals today. There's something that we are doing on a daily basis that in these thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pages of law that we don't do something right. And now it's to Kyle's point where it's, you have, let's say 1 million pages of laws. You can go through and be like, okay, we don't like Kyle. Like, let's just observe him for a day. And then let's find out where we can get him. That's not how the world should work. And I think as that gets implemented, we're already seeing it where it's getting implemented in let's call it a dirty way for some people and not others. As that snowballs and the general public is getting picked off, there will be a Rubicon where everyone just says this is enough. And I think that we have to push back now on these kind of regulations before they get passed, or it's just going to escalate and get us there faster. And that's something that nobody wants.
Yeah. Well, just like when you read this stuff, like specific unlawful acts. No person may engage in any conduct prohibited by or contrary to or refrain from engaging in. What? This basically says everything.
Minority Report.
Yeah, right. No person may engage in. I'm going to break this down because I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to break this down. No person may engage in any conduct conduct prohibited by or contrary to. So this means anything that specifically says, hey, it's prohibited in this words, or that maybe goes in against the intention or the intended purpose of this, or refrain from engaging in any conduct required. So this means also not just if you like do anything against this, but if you do anything against the things that are outlined here, right? Or refrain from engaging. So here's a set of behaviors that you have to follow. So if you don't specifically follow these actions, we can also penalize you. So it's not just like for taking actions or for doing something wrong that you can get in trouble. This is basically saying if you then do not take these behaviors, then you can also get in trouble, which is like the craziest thing. Like that's the part where you just see like this crazy overreach. And it's like, what? Direction, mitigation.
Check out G.
What's G say? No person may fail or refuse to comply with any reporting or record-keeping requirements of this act or any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorizations or directive issued thereunder. Jeez, us. No person may fail or refuse to comply with any reporting or record-keeping requirement of this act. Yeah. So like basically everyone now has to become a oracle themselves, right? Every person who's potentially falls under this act, which is everyone who uses internet things.
Well, it's just examples of why this bill is like, there's no way that it moves forward in its current form. But there's so much, bad stuff in here related to how everybody, essentially, that's a U.S. citizen uses the internet. That it's scary. It really needs to be completely thrown away.
Yeah.
Contact your representative, complain about it. For sure.
Well, I'm looking at the reaction of this space. So, I mean, a lot of this has a lot of blockchain and crypto implications. And you look at
it's
price
technically
action,
like if the U.S. government
sentiment of the market
doesn't like, Ken's talking. Yeah. I can't hear him.
I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah.
I'll try and refresh.
Yeah, you keep going in and out just a little bit there. I'm sorry, Kyle, what were you going to say?
Well, I was saying technically, like, if the government, if Tornado Cash on Ethereum was, in or not in compliance with this, every Ethereum miner would be prosecutable under this bill, just for like being a part of it with the way they define that.
Yeah. Well, it's so broad, and this is one of the things they say. Oh, well, it's not the intended. We're just going after TikTok. No, you're not. You're going after every potential digital product, service provider, user, etc. They
actually say distributed compute in one of the definitions. Like they're talking about blockchain.
Yeah. Do you remember where you saw that? Can we pull it up? Yeah, I'm trying to pull you in here.
Nice. I can hear you again.
Nice. Do you remember where you were seeing that by chance or no?
Yeah, I think it probably is just a little above where you are now.
Hang on, I'm trying to get Ken in here. There it goes. Nice. Boom. Nice.
So I'll while you're looking for that,
yep.
I'll kind of talk about what I was trying to get at is a few things. Number one is that, this is a lot of blockchain and crypto related aspects to this bill. And if you just look at the sentiment of the market, so far it seemed to have shrugged it off. From a development perspective, these are the things that Kyle and I look at every day. And this is why we've come to the conclusion that we need a trustless, decentralized internet, where you own your identity, where you can just interact with products. If you look at CZ just this morning, or it might have been late last night, he was tweeting about the need for DEXs, decentralized exchanges. Now, why would he say that? Obviously, because he's probably getting a lot of pressure on his centralized exchange. So he sees what's coming down the road, and that's where we need to go, where we have decentralized product, a decentralized exchange that has all the capability of the current centralized exchanges. That's where I know that's if CZ could move over to that today, if he could take Binance, put it fully on chain and decentralize it, he would do it in a heartbeat. Just because everyone, all the figureheads, all the leaders of these companies, we're dealing with, we're talking with our legal teams. Like, we see what's coming out, and we all have to build as fast as we can and get to a place where, there's either wiggle room or we've reached escape velocity from all of these rules and regulations that are happening.
Well, this is where I might get in trouble here, but I urge civil disobedience, like respectful civil disobedience. We got to start burying them in their own like red tape. So here's the game. There's a book called Restoring Liberty Without Permission. And in this book, it lays out a amazing plan for how, if people were actually thinking about what they could do right now to kind of break the government a little bit, they would be thinking about interesting ways to clog up the bureaucracy. And if you think about like what a bureaucracy is and like all these little enforcement things and all these different laws, like they become unenforceable because they create so much red tape. So imagine this scenario. Imagine the crypto industry decides to combat some of this in some way, and they start a DAO. And in this DAO, everyone just throws in, I don't know how many bucks, right? Like everyone just throws as much money as you can. If you got lots of money, you throw lots of money. If you got a little bit of money, you just put a little bit of money. Whatever it is, everyone puts money into this pot. Out of this pot gets hired a team of lawyers, a sea of lawyers, maybe a sea of artificial intelligence driven lawyers. I don't know. But what they do is they become the best they possibly can at reading this regulation and then filing daily, hourly reports, compliance issues, like freedom of information requests. Like literally you just bury them in paperwork and you tie them up so that they cannot possibly enforce anything or do anything, and you just bury them in their own bureaucracy, and you have a whole team dedicated to just doing that. And then that organization also bands together to create a legal shield for the rest of the institution or the rest of the industry. So as you operate in that space, if you're part of this club and you get into trouble, boom, now you got legal defense because the lawyers are going to go after the bureaucracy, and you've got a little cover. And every single industry that has any kind of regulation should build a body like this, right? The government is not going to stop building bureaucracy. And so the only way to fight the absurd sometimes is to become ridiculously absurd. And I think that like you could jump in, or the industry could jump in and just do some interesting things to really create, hey, you guys like red tape? So do we. Let's dance. And there's other places where you could just start kind of peacefully stepping away from listening to all these clowns. And I think that's what Bitcoin is. That's what a lot of these cryptocurrencies are. That's what a lot of what's happening, I think, in this crypto space. What we have to be careful is that we don't go too far off the edge in this degen world where we lose some credibility, right? And so it also needs to be well structured, well disciplined. There needs to be some real like cohesion around stuff like this. And these are things that I don't see people talking about, right? I see everyone talking about what's the next pump? Where can I get my this? How many NFTs can I sell? Whatever, but nobody's talking about like, how do we make this industry bulletproof? Right. And yeah, there's this, this one tech guy in the background, and they got the Kyles of the world that want to build these trustless systems all the way down. But like, where is the aggregate effort to take this thing to the next level? Like, that's what I want to know,
I think it's coming, Raymmar. What's gonna supercharge that, I think, is the regular economy. Like, you look at JP Morgan Chase, like Jamie Dimon just came out, I think it was yesterday, and said, basically like, we're in this little calm, we're in the eye of the hurricane, and the other side is going to be atrocious. And he's talking about this year.
You sure he's not just talking about getting deposed for the Epstein shit?
Well, that too. But you have billionaires, you have the leading financial minds, and they're all telling you, like, just Google the news, that this economy, all this stuff, we're not talking about years from now. This year, they're calling for a 50% plus move down in the stock market. That only happens when catastrophe hits the financial markets. So you have right now, like, everyone's still warm and fuzzy, like, oh, it's still working, everything's still on the rails. When it is noticeable to the general population that we are off the rails, that's when you're going to get this move for, you take off the rails financials, with terrible regulation. And that's just a recipe to get people to move in the right direction. And I think we just have to wait for that, unfortunately, that moment where people have a little bit of strain, a little bit of suffering, and it kind of opens your eyes a little bit. That's when I think we're going to get our biggest gains here on the blockchain, decentralized, trustless environments.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, let's look at this thing. Speaking of, did you guys see this chart? The U.S. banking system is fine, Fed, and then the U.S. banking system, biggest monthly loss in deposit history. This is us currently.
I'll talk about that, Raymmar.
Yeah.
Like they aren't talking about it. Like Janet Yellen went to Congress, and I don't know if everyone's seen this video, but this is when they bailed out SVB and Signature. And I believe it was a congressman from Oklahoma, because the next thing that everyone said that the president and Janet Yellen said was, we're going to backstop all FDIC deposits beyond 250K, like whatever you have in the bank, like whether it's 10 million, 10 billion, like we're going to back that. And so Janet Yellen went to Congress and said, and there was a congressman from Oklahoma and said, what about my community banks here in Oklahoma? Are you going to backstop? You said you're going to backstop everything. Can you say that now? And she backed off of it. And she said, no, basically that they're going to take each bank on an individual basis. And if this, body votes and decides to save the bank, they save the bank. If they feel like it's in national interest, for lack of a better way of saying it, or if it's, detrimental to the financial system itself, then they'll bail it out. If not, then they're going to let it fail. And
systemically important said, well, is I think the words they use.
Yeah. And so the congressman pushed back and said, okay, well, obviously the bigger banks are systematically important. So you're definitely going to save those banks. So what's going to stop everybody that's in a smaller bank from just saying, I don't want to take that risk of not being chosen, not being anointed? What's going to take them from not just taking their money and consolidating into the major banks? And she's like, well, that's not what we're trying to do. And he's like, it doesn't matter. That's what's happening. And where I'm trying to get at is that whole aspect has not stopped. What we're showing here is people pulling money out of the banks. They're pulling money out of the regional banks, and they're going into the JP Morgans. They're going into the Wells Fargos. They're going into the bigger ones because they feel safe there. And that's just crushing the banking system, and it's going to cause the next crisis.
This was one of the concerns why they rescued the bank in the first place. The Silicon Valley Bank was to maybe try to stop this, right? This basically run on all the other banks, because people worrying about their money not being in a bank that is systemically important or too big to fail, or whatever the new term this time around is going to be for, how the individual is going to basically subsidize incompetence at scale.
Yeah. The FDIC insurance, I think, only has like 128, maybe 48, something like that, billion in it. That's a drop in the bucket. Like, and that's why originally when the government said, like, oh, we're going to back every bank deposit everywhere, that was the initial response. That's like 17 trillion that they'd have to backstop. And so then when Janet Yellen came out in that Congress conversation said, oh no, we're really probably going to just cherry pick who we save and who we don't. Like, imagine that you're in an Iowa regional bank and you have, $2,000 in there because you need that for your car and your rent and everything. Yeah. And that bank goes under. Like, even that small amount, which is pretty much telling you that you actually need that money, if you have that little in there, that means that you're struggling. And you might not even have that. Like, they may not even insure that bank at all. I mean, it's insane to think about the consequences. And I think that's why you're getting this firmness in the crypto market. It's like, if it's not safe in the bank anymore, what do you do with it? You buy gold, you buy silver, now you buy Bitcoin. You can't even keep it in stable coins right now. Like, you literally have to have it like participating in the market, and you just have to hold your nose and just take the volatility, because the other side, the flip of that coin, is way worse. You just have to be in and be safe and make sure that you have access to your money.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
What I was going to say, like, whatever the value of Bitcoin is, you don't depend on anybody for it to be there.
Well, I'll put it this way, and this is what I've talked to my friends and family when they asked me about this, and I said, you're in an environment where the banks potentially aren't safe, and you have an environment where the U.S. dollar has 100% chance of going down in value. It only goes down in value. It's never like went up. And so if you have 100% chance of something going down, and we don't even know the rate that it's going to go down anymore because we have inflation. Inflation means the dollar is going down in value. So now, for a while, forever, it was sub 2% inflation for years and years and years. At least that's by the government metrics. And then now in the past year, you've had it, they say it's 9. It was actually probably double that. We all know that, considering what we're paying at the gas pump and for food prices. But if you have, this is the way I look at it, is if you have 100% chance of a currency going down in value, or you have other options where maybe it could go down in value, but it can also go up, I at least want to give myself that 50% chance that it goes up, right? I don't want to give myself 100% chance that it goes down. And so that's why precious metals, that's why, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the other stronger alts, I'd much rather play and participate over here where there's some upside than to just know that I'm going to get whittled away to nothing eventually, on the currency side.
Yeah, let's do this. We're over the hour here, so I'm gonna just drop the YouTube stream, but I think we're gonna keep the Twitter space, and we'll just finish up the conversation here in the Twitter spaces. I see we're mostly down on our YouTube watch here. I think we've kind of gotten the max value out of the video stream side of this, but I think the conversation's good. So let's not snip this. I'm just going to go ahead. If you're watching us on YouTube, jump over to the Twitter spaces. That chat is in the comments, I believe. If not, it will be here in just a second. And yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, like, feel free to share your thoughts. This is some crazy shit that we're talking about here. Like we're talking about, yeah, I mean, things that could impact